Good afternoon, tutor and mates. My name is William Quintero Lopez. This is the step 6 final activity. First of all, it is important to know about the educational community we are going to work with. So, this is the group contextualization. Students are of public educational institution, groups from 6th to 11th. The average age is 11 to 20 years old. The socioeconomic level, we can find students from first level to fourth level, more or less. The number of students per classroom is from 30 to 50 students. That it is a very large group, so it can make a little difficult the teaching and learning process. I consider that. Also, the type of family is very varied. There are some nuclear families, in other cases, single mother or single father, or the grandmother or grandfather is who take care of the kids. The communicative skill to evaluate, I choose the speaking one. Also, it is relevant to know what assessment is. As you can see in this picture, assessment is a mechanism for providing structures with data for improving their teaching methods and for guiding and motivating students to be actively involved in their own learning. And assessment is feedback, not only for students, it is also for instructors or teachers. Assessment gives feedback to both. It should also assist our students in diagnosing their own learning. Such feedback can positively influence what our students learn, because assessment drives the students' learning. And it is very important that the students get conscious about their part or their motivation at the moment to learn something. So it is very important. Let's see some difference between assessment and evaluation, which are the two terms that can be confused. For example, as you can see in this frame, when we talk about evaluation, is used when you want to measure the results obtained at the end of a process. It is known while the process. That assessment is used when you want to follow the complete process and you analyze step by step the weaknesses and strengths that can be useful to achieve your final goals. So the evaluation is at the end. It is a diagnostic. It is more focused on a quantitative measure. The evaluation is proposed by the teacher. It makes emphasis in already defined standards. Yeah, it has an structure, it has to be or written, or it has to has some rules for applying it. While assessment provides the tools to give the feedback in order to improve in the future. It is critical more than measurable. It is mainly focused on the descriptive or qualitative analysis. It is also the aptitude the students, their students' capacities or abilities to do something. And the assessment can be carried by both the teacher and the students, and it makes emphasis in the effectiveness of the process. So to me it is very important, but both has a relation, because in our educational system we need to give them some grades and to look for the objectives of our classes. I found this image that can illustrate what I just talked about before. To sum up, the purpose of assessment is to increase quality. You are more involved in the process with your students, while evaluation is to judge quality, to know, okay, all your process, you deserve this grade because This is what I consider you own. Well, continue with the topic. There are two assessing methods that can be used at the moment of assessing and that I consider can be applied with the group of students I selected for this final task. Well, we have formative versus summative assessment. Both are very important. They consist in what, or their features or characteristics. It is part of the instructional process, so you can use quizzes, observation, creating teacher charts, Venn diagrams, and other students' learning evidence. In the classroom, also you have some tools or strategies to do. For example, the homework, the greetings and exit tickets helps teacher modify future lesson plannings based on learner needs. So to me it is important for increasing the students' learning. On the other hand, we have summative assessment used to determine a particular point in time what students know and do not know. Its characteristics are state assessment, district benchmark or interim assessment, end of a unit or a chapter test, end of term or semester exams. The score that are used for accountability, SAT or ACT type tests. So I consider both are important because you can use questioning strategies need to be addressed in this part. Both needs to be used to evaluate a student effectively, and both can be used for the student feedback, assist in the future lesson and planning. So I consider these methods are very appropriate for the goals I want to achieve in this part. Well, so we have to know that there are many methods that are functional, but I select these two for the speaking skill as my center proposal. I'm going to show you some important information about this skill. Also, you will see that every communicative skill has some factors that can intervene in the teaching and learning process. Well, the speaking skill, well, obviously it is the oral communications that takes place face-to-face conversation, group discussion, telephone calls, and other circumstances in which spoken word is used to express meaning, right? That is very easy to understand for us. Well, as every process has pros and cons. Some pros are that integrate all the communicative skills, cooperative environment, flexibility in language, use of body language to reinforce the message, memorization, use of students' background, real or fiction situations, use of humor or drama to make emphasis in the message. And it is possible to evaluate all the communicative skills at the same time because the students have to write a script or a dialogue, they have to read to interact with their classmates, and they also have the auto corrector because they correct their mistakes themselves, so that is very good for their process. And also the student are learning while they are having fun because also they with fictional situations or with the use of drama or humor they can enjoy so much these kind of activities. However, there are some cons, especially for shy students, because they cannot develop very well in this kind of activities while they get confidence. The lack of vocabulary, because they have to know the short background about English and easy vocabulary to transmit ideas. The time class consuming. Sometimes the students take a lot of time and write a simple dialogue, and to start to memorize it because in English, you know, it is important the memory too. And so that can be a con and a disadvantage of this kind of activities. And finally, some students might not understand the mate's presentation even when they are using body language. Sometimes it is kind of difficult to understand the students. Well, there are some roles. On the teacher's role, teachers have a passive role since they are part of the audience, but at the beginning they are the guides or moderators of the activity, and at the end the evaluators, of course. The students' role, the students have an active role since they are who organize the script and the personification of the activity. And some proposal, some activities we can use to explore and develop this skill are dialogues, interviews, karaoke game, debates, sketches that has drama or comedy or whatever the creativity of students gives to it, and of course the presentations that sometimes are very nice. Well, moreover, it should be considered that in our modern world, it is important to include the use of technology, of course, in this process and avoid fossilization and obsolete practices, and in that way invigorate the practices. Here we have the technology application. We have interactive pronunciation exams. Now we can use Skype, we can use WhatsApp, we can use the social web media to communicate between us. So we can use these resources, of course. Skype conferences, it is not only with one like an interview, but also with many members. We can interact with this, and it is important that the students interact with their classmates and teachers, of course, and more people to practice the English. The dialogues, the interview and presentations in video. It means that they can take their time to prepare a good presentation in video. Also the video sketches that are very similar but not the same, as you know. And WhatsApp exercise, as I said, in audios, news reporters by this media. So that one student be in charge of give a news of the day, to read it or to pronounce it. It is a very good activity. Well, here I have a good example of the creativity and potential of students. Can explore applying the technology tools in their learning process. Please look at this.
Hello, my love.
Why do you come?
Relax, my love. I just want to talk to you.
Hey, son dog, very happy or what?
Well, kid of daddy, you don't cannot have been out.
I don't want to know. But
Yuki. Are you?
And I'll tell you all about
Well,
it
the
when
video is
who knew all the planes we
long,
flew, good things we've been through. Then I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hear.
no way, goodbye.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Well, as you could see, these are some of some students that did a very good job. They took a background of a movie they like, of Fast and Furious, to make a humor sketch about this, but taking into account their context and their daily routine lives. So this is a very good strategy. Well, finally, as I told you before, we can be found some pros and cons about assessing with technology tools. These are some advantages, right? The creativity of students. Students have the opportunity to explore their creativity while showing their skills of using the L2. So it is very important. The second one, use of technological tools. This kind of assessment tools lets students to combine their likes for technological devices and their objectives of learning a second language. So they are doing something that calls transversalization. They can use the informatic and technological study with the English too. Well, the interaction, very important. It facilitates the students' interaction with others and different places, right? And best monitoring, in case of the videos, led to teachers evaluate the students' process in a detailed form. That in a dialogue in the classroom is very difficult because of the noise, because you are taking a grade. Here you can take your time and watch very carefully every student performing. So it is very good. Some disadvantages, some cons, is access. Not all the students have access to these devices or internet. In rural places it is very difficult. So it is a disadvantage here. The Chinese, not all the students are very extroverted, so some of them are shy also to take the risk to speak for the one of this activity, but we have to motivate them to take the risk to participate. The sheet on. Some students can sheet on in interactive activities. Lack of experience with technology. Not all the students have the experience with programs and tools, what can represent frustration or that they can do the activities, right? Well, these are the references. That's all. Thanks for your attention. Goodbye.